Hello everyone, my name is Hyther. First, I welcome you all once again on behalf of Zoho Creator team for the Zoho event. From requirement to application. Sounds like I'm going to show some magic here. If you really look at each human being are really unique. In fact, the people, everyone who are sitting inside this room are very different from each other. So the business we manage is also very unique. And take a small business. The small business operation is really influenced by the operating style of the business owners. So each human is unique, which means each business is unique, which means each business process being managed is really unique. What I mean by business processes, be it your front-end business processes like sales and marketing, like what Raju said, or be it back-end business processes like you have your IT department where you have your employee leave tracking or your travel request. So each business process is really, really unique. Okay. But there are tons of software or packaged applications which can serve to your packaged needs. There are tons of applications can serve to your common needs. For example, at Zoho, we have 25 plus applications for your CRM, marketing, and all the stuff. But how about your business applications? So what I mean by business applications here is, take this one-on-one application. I'm sure most of you inside this room would have got the one-on-one registration application. This is a simple application confined to a very business need, very specific need for Zoho for the Zoho event. If you really look at the one-on-one registration form, you have a slots, you book the slot, okay, underneath what happens is that each user is being assigned a slot based on the availability of the slot, okay, and then we trigger a workflow for the technician or for the person, the consultant, create a consultant who can really be assigned to that user based on the calendar availability of that consultant. So this is very specific need for a very specific event and which has a simple workflows underneath. So for this kind of business needs, business specific apps, okay, if I'm trying to seek a out-of-the-box software, I'm sure I'm not going to get any software for this specific need. But I have a need, I have this kind of very specific need. This could be a simple example, one-on-one, which you already have consumed this application. And underneath it has 2-3 workflows. There'll be email trigger, there'll be reminders. And based on this application, we took a printout of that and we have been able to remind you all. So all this information is in place, but this is very specific need for this event. This is a small example of a very business-specific app. Let's get very serious into very serious business app. Raju touched upon the winery business, right? Take a winery business. A winery business from a vineyard, grapes in your vineyard to a bottle of wine, in between there, a lot of process, a lot of business process involved in bringing these grapes to a bottle of wine. Let us get deeper into how this business works. Let me introduce Zilker Winery. In the next 2 days, we are going to talk about how a Zilker Winery business is able to make sure the business processes been automated, able to run their entire business on Creator. So all the sessions are going to revolve around Zilker Winery business model, okay, so that you can appreciate each session, how each part of the session is being carried over regarding the Zilker Winery. So if you really take the Zilker Winery business process, there are different stages. This is a typical business process in a winery business where the grapes is being procured and crushed, and then it's being fermented. Okay, the fermentation is a different stage. You have primary fermentation, secondary fermentation, all those stuff. And then it is gone to the aging where it be stored in the barrels for years. Okay, and then if it is good to go, it has been taken to the lab testing where different parameters of this wine is being tested, okay, and then it has been really done a blending process in order to add taste to the wine. You do a lot of blending process, and it's been bottled, shipped to the customer. So from the grapes procurement to the shipment of a wine bottle, there's really a lot of business process, a lot of stages happening. And I'm sure this is a very pretty straightforward business process everyone can understand. So how we get started? So we have Zilker Winery today is using a bunch of spreadsheets, a bunch of papers in order to collect the data, in order to maintain the data, in order to update the data, in order to analyze the data. There's a lot of data collection, updation, a lot of analytics been happening inside Zilker, but yet it is all spreadsheets and paperwork. So how would this process get started? How would they go about in really making sure they automate this process? That's what I'm going to walk through in my presentation in this session. Okay. So the first step for Zilker Winery is to really pick up a tool or platform like Zoho Creator. Right? Everyone could appreciate here inside this room has to really go and pick up a tool which can serve this specific need. Is it? Is that the first step they have to do? My recommendation is no. So what is the first step they have to do? The first step they have to do is you have to really structure your requirements and simplify your requirements. Even before coming to Zoho Creator is not a magic, right? You need to really understand what you want to accomplish, what you want to build, right? And what requirements you have, and you need to really simplify those requirements, structure the requirement. It's like a blueprint of a dream home. If you want to construct a dream home, you don't get into the construction. You just step back, work on your plan, where you want to have a living room, where you want to have your bedrooms and stuff like that, right? And at Zoho, in fact, if you really look at the Zoholix event itself, we have really planned, we have really structured this event. At Zoho, we have different applications, okay? So we have a Zoholix event for sales and marketing. We have a Zoholix event for productivity applications. We have Zoholix event for finance and HR, and we have Zoholix event for this developers. So we have structured it. And in fact, in this Zoholix developer event itself, the agenda is being structured and planned. For example, Sridhar's presentation was at the 30,000 feet level, right? More abstract, more black boxed, right? So, and Raju's presentation was at more of 20,000 feet level, where he gave a bigger picture of the creator and reports. And then my presentation is requirement to an app is on 10,000 feet level, where I give how you go about and building an application from requirements. And the next session is going to be getting started, where you'll be hitting the ground zero level, where you start with the application. And as you move along the day, you'll be getting deeper and deeper into the product. And by the end of the day, you'll be getting minus 50,000 feet under the sea. And I'm sure we'll bring back you to the ground level. And we have a great reception and wine to be served. So we'll bring back to you the ground level. So the first step is structure your requirements. And in terms of planning, software is not any different from construction or manufacturing. I'm emphasizing on this structuring your requirement before even choosing creator. It's so important for you to understand this. In fact, at Zoho, if we have 25 plus applications, if in fact we want to start a new application, we don't start readily. We'll step back and look at, okay, what we want to build in this application, how we want to structure the information, how we want to have let's take a CRM. If you want to start a CRM, we'll say like how we want to have a leads, how we want to have contacts, how we want to have potentials, right? You really structure. So let's assume that Zilker Winery want to start an online web store, okay, where they want to sell their wines online. So let's get into the process of how you structure the requirements for the Zilker wine store. So Zilker wine online store requirements is this. The requirement 1 is they want to manage the wine products, the inventory of the wines, they want to manage it. That's a simple requirement, first requirement. And then requirement 2 is they want a customer, if the customer places an order on the online, it has to really, the order has to be shipped to that address, and a customer can place more than one products in the order, and can place one product, and each product can have more quantities. And the requirement 3 is, when an order is placed, update the stock of each product in the order, send order or email confirmation to the customer. If you really look at this, all these requirements, it ultimately boils down to any software requirements from our experience, because we are building applications. Any software requirements ultimately boils down to, hey, I have a bunch of data. I need a set of workflows to operate on the data, and I'll have set of people using the app. Pretty much you can summarize any requirement into 3 buckets. And we call that as data bucket, and workflows, and people. And remember, the first step is you have to structure your requirements and simplify requirements. Let's get back to structuring the requirements for this Zilker wine store. So let's take the first requirement. This is managing wine product stock. Okay. So you have the wine online, customers are going to order it. So you want to manage the inventory of the wines. So this is how you will, traditionally, if you want to structure a requirement in a spreadsheet, or it could be a paper, this is how you will capture it. You will have a product name, description, unit price, and stock. And then requirement 2 is, a customer places an order, which means the order is dependent on the customer, which means you have to structure the customer data first. So this is very important steps. These are it may look very trivial for some of you in this room, but many of the people which we have interacted, create a customer, don't get it. But this is very fundamental step of any requirement you want to convert to an app. You have to understand, you have to structure a requirement, you have to simplify requirement before you even test the creator tool. So here, a customer places an order, which means an order is dependent on customer, and customer is independent entity. So you have to really structure the customer data first. And this is how the customer data will look like in your spreadsheet. So you'll have the customer ID, first name, last name, and then you have the address column. But if you really look at the address column, it is not structured well. For example, in the address column, I can have the complete address in just one field. And for example, I want to send a Thanksgiving Day greeting message to US and Canadian customers, right? So I cannot go and really look at the address field. I cannot scan the information because it has all the information as one text, right? So what we'll do is you have to split that information when you structure it. So the address becomes really, you capture different fields in the address, the columns, the street, city, state, and country, so that based on the country, you can really filter the information of the customers in US and Canada, and you can send whatever campaign you want. And in fact, interestingly, winery business, I mean, you cannot sell wine to different states, right? You have restrictions. So zip code is so important for the customer. So you need to really structure zip code. Based on the zip code, you can capture whether how you want to ship the wine to the customers. So an order, the next requirement is order has to have more than one product, can have more than one product. A customer can order more than one product and more than one quantity. So now let us go and structure the order. So this is how the order will look when you really put it down in a piece of paper or in a spreadsheet. An order will have who ordered it, the customer ID, and when he ordered it, when the customer has ordered it, order date, and the description. Description has all the order details. It has the product, the quantity, everything in the description. But that's not we want to have, because the order description is very unstructured. All the information, the product and the quantity information, you cannot have it in order description. So what you'll do, so you split the structure, you make the order description as an item order, where you'll have order ID and what are the products being ordered in the order, and then how much quantity. So you have to really structure this environment, split it, and so that you have more visibility. If you do this exercise, you will have really, really more visibility into what you want to have. Step back, look at this blueprint of your application. What do you want? Really structure it, right? Write in a piece of paper, right? To put it in a spreadsheet, or whatever you want, whatever way you're comfortable. But you have to do that. This is the zeroth step of building an application. Very important step. This is what we do when we build a product in Zoho, right? So we are sharing this experience to our creators out here, app creators here. So coming back to the requirement 3, so when the order is placed, you have to update the inventory of their order, and you want to send a confirmation email to the customer, right? So you have to update the stock of the order. So let's quickly recap of the requirements, right? So you had a managing wine products, the inventory, where we structured it, and then we have the customer placing an order where we structured those information. So ultimately, if you really look at this whole requirements, it finally boils down to data, workflows, and people. So managing wine and product stock is data and people, where you have the inventory as data and people as the guy who really keeps the stock, the storekeeper. The storekeeper is actually the people who's touching the system. And then a customer is placing an order. Here, the customer is the people, right? And then an order is placed, and you have to update the order, update the product details, inventory details, which is, again, a workflow. And you want to send an order confirmation email, again, a workflow. So finally, now we have come to the step where the next step is choosing a tool which can capture the data, workflows, and people, right? So now we have structured the requirement. We've got a requirement, winery requirement. We have structured it. Now the next step is choosing the tool. Welcome to Zoho Creator. So let me take a small diversion here and get into what is Zoho Creator, why Zoho Creator, and who is it for, and then I'll come back to the requirement, and then we'll get into the main thread. So what is Zoho Creator? We firmly believe that 90% of the enterprise IT developer time is spent on something adds little value to the business, which Raju touched upon. And this is where most of the time has been spent. The apps and app server, database, server, and network. But actually what matters a lot for the customer is the business logic. And everyone knows Zoho Creator lets you to focus on that core business logic, which Raju touched upon in detail. Let us see who create this application, because some people say that, right? Oh, I'm an end user, can I create it? Oh, there's a developers. Who are the really creator users who are creating application in Zoho Creator? So we call it as app creator spectrum, where the right side you can see the end users who doesn't have any programming knowledge at all, okay? And then you have the power end users who are familiar with spreadsheets and HTML. And then you have developers who are a VB and macros and access developers. And then you have the hardcore programmers, okay, where they are well versed in Java and .NET. So where does Zoho Creator really fit in? Zoho Creator really serves to this developers and power end users, but we are moving towards the end users, where we want people who doesn't have even a programming knowledge really understand Creator and develop applications. And of course, we are taking another direction for developers as well, where we provide a lot of tools for them to create applications and sell it, or to offer the professional services to the customers. So where developers, the power developers, need a lot of tools and utilities to roll out application to the clients. So primarily, we are serving to the end users. We are getting into this direction where you want to simplify our application, make it very easy for our customers to create, the end users to create applications. And for end users, what are the possibilities available in Creator? You can pick from a bunch of business application what we have, okay? Or you can start from scratch, build your own application, have your own idea, start from scratch. Or you don't have time, right? I don't have time, so you can post your requirements for free in Zoho Creator Marketplace and get the apps done by our developers and partners. So that's what the speed dating is all about, where end users, a lot of people have asked like, hey, I have a requirements, I don't have a proper developers to do it. Okay, that's why we are trying to bring the end users and developers together in that speed dating. And developers and partners, you have an opportunity to build and sell application. One gentleman asked the question, right, can I build and sell an application? Oh yeah, you can build the application creator and sell it to multiple clients, right? And then you can afford your professional services. You can bid for projects, you can offer your professional services. And this is a platform to extend your, let's say you have already a client base, okay, and you can take your client base, build the application creator and sell it to those existing clients. And typically, these are the customers who come to Zoho Creator, okay. Predominantly, it is MS, Excel, and VB and MS Access users, and we have even FileMaker Pro users coming in. And we have, recently, we have a lot of database users, okay, people using SQL Server and Oracles in the on-premise, they want to come to the cloud. And interestingly, they're choosing Creator to migrate the data from their on-premise databases to cloud. And to give an overview of how many application creators, we have more than 1 million applications created in Creator, okay? And these are really active applications being used by our customers. And this is a sample list of customers exclusive of Creator. These are Creator customers. We have larger brands, we have big brands using Creator, but our sweet spot is really a small and medium businesses where they want to really automate the complete business workflows and want to run their business on top of Creator. Okay, so that's about the quick diversion to Creator, what, why, and who is it for. Let's come back to the main thread. So come back to the binary requirements. So we have the binary 1, 2, 3 requirements, which revolves around data, people, and workflows. So we had the we had the requirement. We structured the requirement, and then we want to take the requirement and implement it in Creator, right? So on the data part, Creator provides you to capture that information, capture the data quickly using a form builder. And we abstract all the other things. You don't care about the database, tables, foreign key, primary key, join, select query, insert. Everything is abstracted for you, right? All you see is a form builder. Okay, if you want to put a relations, you have a lookup and stuff like that. Underneath, you have a lot of magic's being done underneath by Creator, right? So we abstract all the things and make it easy for user to intuitively drag and drop these data as form fields. And this is how it looks. So left side, you can see the drag and drop. This for the people who are really new to Creator, who have come to the event. So this, the left side is the form fields, where you can create an order form, and then you could see the order form out here. And this is the product form created using Creator. And if you really look at, people have been wondering, what is the spreadsheet? I've been using spreadsheet. What is this form and stuff like that, right? A form is nothing but a row in your spreadsheet, right? So if you really fill up a form, it is actually a row in your spreadsheet. So if you really have a bunch of spreadsheet, you import it, you get it in Creator, and we automatically generate a form for you. And this is an order form created for this binary requirement. And if you really look at it, there is a product and quantity, just one field. And if you want to really have more products to be ordered in a order, then we have a subform features, right, where you can really fill up a lot of products and quantity in an order. So you can accomplish this requirements, data requirements in Creator easily using the form builder. And with a lot of features we have, you can have 100% all this requirement done in Creator. And when you get into the workflows part, right? So we saw the data requirement easily captured using the forms and builders and stuff like that. Let's get into the workflow part, the second bucket, right? So you have a workflow. In Creator, we give two options for the users. You can either use the rule builder, the workflow builder, the graphical user interface, okay? Or you can use an end user friendly scripting language, what we give, called as Deluge. What I mean by that is, let's take the email requirement. I want to send email notification to a customer when the order has been placed. So this is how the notification screen look like when you want to do it in a graphical user interface, right? This doesn't have a deluge scripting and stuff like that. So you can accomplish the same workflows using a graphical user interface, or you can write in deluge. If you really look at it, the first part is on the workflow part, I want to update the inventory based on the customer order. A customer ordered it, it been shipped, I want to update the inventory, right? These 2 lines of code will capture that workflow. Just 2 lines of code. And then you have another workflow. You want to send an email notification to the customer when order has been placed. And this send email, this 4 lines of code will take care of that workflow. That's it. So this 6 lines will take care of that requirement, right? So all you wrote is just the business logic. Underneath, all the database stuff, all the send mail has the mail API and stuff like that, then the foreign key, primary key and stuff like that. Everything has been abstracted for you. All you do is just write a simple lines of code, business logic. So that's a workflow part. And we have 2 layers, as I said. You have a code layer or interface layer. If you're comfortable with interface layer, do it. And sometimes when you want to have a complex workflows, interface layer may be limiting, right? That's when you go to the code layer. You have a drag and drop builder where you can create deluge scripting, or with you're very familiar, you can hand code the scripting and do it. I think we have an introduction to deluge and a lot more stuff to be coming. Introduction to deluge will be in the post-lunch session. I think you should not miss it. And where we get into a step-by-step process of introducing the deluge scripting for starters and beginners. So that's about the data bucket. Then we saw the workflows bucket of the winery requirement, how we captured those requirements in the Zoho Creator tool. Let's come to the people bucket, right? So you have, in any application will have 2 set of users, broader classification. You have app developers. It could be the business owner developing the application. It could be someone else developing the application, the app developers, and the users, the guy who is consuming that application. So users have different roles and permissions, right? In an organization, you will have different, for example, in a winery, Zilka winery, you will have the business owner will have full access to that application, right? He has the full privilege to that application. And then you have the grapes purchaser in the procurement department guy who has access only to the grapes inventory. He doesn't need access to other stuff. And then you have a field worker who has access to the wine barrels and production data, right? Where you will have a mobile app he scans the barcode and QR code of the barrels and take note of the temperature of the wine in the barrels. So this guy all he need is that form where he can take note, which has a camera field in his mobile application. All you need is that permission to that form alone. So you have different set of people. It could be a lab technician. Lab technician has access only to the lab forms and reports. So a lab technician tests the wine. He has only the access to lab reports and forms. And a stock keeper, he has access only to the wine inventory. And could be a shipping manager. He has access to only to the customer and order details. He doesn't need access to any other stuff, he doesn't have access to the inventory or anything. He has access only to the customer and order details. And finally, a customer. Customer accesses this order from Zilka Winery order form in the Zilka wine store from the website, and he is also part of your application. But all he has access is the order form, right? So you have different set of people accessing your winery application. It could be internal users, it could be external customers accessing the application, which means your tool, your system, Zoho Creator, captures this different set of people with different roles and with different permissions to access the different pieces of components, different pieces of forms or reports in Creator, so that they have access to only the limited access to what they want to see or what they want to use, right? So that's about so we had a requirement, we structured the requirement, okay, which is an important step, and then we chose the tool Creator, and we captured the data part, the workflow part, the people part, right? And Zoho Creator gives the flexibility to capture the data easily, to basically have the workflows developed quickly, and then have different set of people accessing the application with different roles and permissions. It's possible with creator, right? So it's not over yet. So we have a requirement, we now has an application, but it's not over yet. There's a lot of important things which application developer, when you came up with the requirement, now you met the requirement with creator, but a lot more. For example, app development is an iterative process. I'm sure everyone would appreciate. In fact, my presentation, 30 minutes before the presentation, I did some tweaking. Right? That's how every real work works. Right? So everyone knows that it's an iterative process and change is the only constant, which means the tool, the product has to really support this whole notion of iterative process. Right? For example, let's take, we had a shipping address and suddenly you feel like, oh, you already had hundreds of thousands of customers and orders been placed and shipped, and suddenly you realize that, oh, I want to have a billing address in my whole requirement. So the creator tool allows you to split that information. Now you could see like the address has been liberated from the customer, and you can have multiple address, and you can attach a multiple shipping address, a build address to the customer. So you already had the old structure where you already had a data, then you bought a new requirement, and the system has to really should be accommodative enough to bring in that new requirement and make sure it really it's been captured in the new application, right? And in creator, we support this kind of iterative process, and which is what the real world problem, that's how the real world works. Record auditing. So you have multiple people, different set of people touching your system. You need to have an audit trail. Who did what, right? And at Zoho Creator, we are providing record auditing. You will be hearing more about that tomorrow. The unboxing section, we are going to reveal lot of cool stuff, lot of things we are going to unveil tomorrow's session. I think you should not miss that. So that's about the record auditing. And remember, you do iteration, and your iterative experiment should not affect your production setup. That's very important, right? You have a production setup where your customers or your business process is already working in place, working fine, and then you have your iterative process. You want to try out some of the new stuff, and it should not be your production should not be your playground, right? So there should be a sandbox environment where you should have a development app. You should have it in your sandbox. Okay, you might be wondering, oh, Creator doesn't have it. We are going to unveil it tomorrow, but I gave a precursor here. Okay, anyway. So you should have a development app versus production app. So the interesting thing here is, I just want to give the credit for this feature to be unveiled tomorrow is people, you sitting in front of me, who came last year to the Zoho event. This is one of the most asked requirement. I'm sure people who could recollect, the people who came for the event last year, right? This is one of the requirement they asked, and we gave priority to the requirement because of the priority what the customer asked in the last Zoho development event. And here today we have this unboxing it exclusive for people inside this room. So you need to have a development app and a production environment. This is something which we overlook. We will not. When you came up with the requirement, you didn't care. You didn't thought about iterative process. You didn't think about that you need to have a development environment or record audit, right? But these are non-functional requirements which people overlook. They get locked into a system where it doesn't have an iterative. It doesn't support an iterative process. They logged into a system which doesn't have an audit trail. They lock into a system where you don't have a production environment or development environment setup, right? Another thing which people overlook is something goes wrong, you should be able to roll back. Obviously, there's a human errors where you can prone to do mistakes, right? And anything goes wrong in your production system, you should be able to quickly roll back, which means you need to have a different versions of the applications, and you need to really have a rollback or backup and restore features, right? And in Creator, we have provided feature to ensure that you have this backup and rollback features, which is again a requirement people overlook, right? A winery, the Zilko winery guy will not have insight into these things when he came up with the requirements. And we want to have the system to really scale as your business grows, right? You might be starting with 10 customers, 20 customers. When you really come up with, have 20,000 customers, the system has to really scale. And it should be very agnostic to you. And we have Zoho Creator customer. They started with thousands of records with just spreadsheet. And I'm glad that they have really grown to millions of records. They have millions of records now managing Creator seamlessly. They don't have to do anything. It's just the business grows and we take care of you. That's a black box, right? So, and mobile workforce. People like today mobile is everywhere, right? So you need to really protect your investment. You have developed the application in Creator in web, and you want that application to be seamlessly available in mobile in different devices. And we support mobile applications, and that's going to be very interesting. Unveiling something interesting tomorrow, which a gentleman asked, right? Do you have a mobile app creator separately? Right? You have to wait tomorrow morning in the unveiling. That is going to be the final one, which I'll be saying it. Okay, more details tomorrow. But the mobile workforce, right? An app should work on different mobile devices. A guy, the person in the Zilka winery, the guy who taking notes of the barrel parameters, temperature, and stuff like that, should have access to the mobile application. Should have, let's say, he has an Android or iPhone application or iPad. We support all, right? So that's a overall idea. So we came up with the requirements, right? Zilka Winery had requirements. It structured the requirements, which is the 0th step. And then Zilka Winery chose Creator, and how in Creator they're able to capture the data, the workflows, and the people. So all these 3 buckets of requirements, how they really captured it in Creator, we saw that. So to summarize, you need to really work on this data part before touching any tool, and then Creator allows you to automate these workflows, and you can capture different users, roles and permissions in Creator easily. So Zilka Winery is fake, but this is real. We have this gentleman, Bob, okay, runs the complete winery on Creator. This is real story. And that's Sridhar Vembu with Bob in his firm, Estate Crush, okay. And by the way, in the reception, during the reception, we are going to serve Bob's wine, okay. This is a real story where he's running the entire business on Creator. Previously, he had spreadsheets and papers, right? Now he has the complete business automated using Creator, and Bob is, by the way, is an end user who developed this application. So, and we are going to have Bob later today. He'll be presenting his case, okay, how he went about in creating this application. And it's just not a piecemeal. He just touched this one portion of this entire business running on Creator. And we have lots of Bobs running their complete business on Creator. And so that's about my presentation, and from requirement to application. Thank you.